Seen this today. And this is the first I've actually heard or saw this of Mike Johnson. This video I'm going to show you. Mike Johnson is addressing to a reporter of some very alarming things that took place at the beginning of his tenure as House Speaker. And just to kind of tee the video up a little bit, it talks about he was requesting time to speak to Biden about a national security risk that had to do with the border, and also had some other to do with national natural gas. You know, the propane or LP gas distribution. We used to export a lot of it to other countries because it was a great asset to our economy. And when he wanted to talk to Biden about this, he talks about how he was quote unquote ambushed. He goes to meet Biden finally after multiple requests, and then once he gets there, he realizes it's Nancy Pelosi, Anthony Blinken, several other handlers there to kind of keep an eye on the conversation. And then at some point, he gets Biden to let those people out of the office, and that's whenever Mike Johnson addressed the problem. And what the answer was is very alarming. So stick around and listen to this. This is quite interesting, and I wish it would have came out a lot sooner.
Story when you say personal observation, what kind
well,
of thing did you see?
It's public now because the Wall Street Journal got it and put it on the front page. But January a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I had been asked. I became Speaker in October 2023, and there were all sorts of big national security concerns and everything going on. And I started requesting a meeting with the president because I'm kind of old school. I'm a constitutional law guy. Speaker of the House should be able to talk to the president, especially in times of great national interest and calamity. But they wouldn't let me meet with him, and his staff kept giving me excuses. This went on for like 8 or 9 weeks. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, he doesn't have time. What are you talking about? I'm second in line of the presidency. He has time. I need to talk to him. We had, I can't say the classified parts, but we had some big national concerns at the time that I was losing sleep over. Finally, I just went to the Hill Press Corps and I said, the president is not being allowed to meet with the speaker. There's a problem. So they started putting pressure on him. Long story short, they finally relented. They invited me to the White House. I show up and I realize it's actually an ambush because it's not just me and the president. It's also Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem, the CIA director, everybody. And then, so I walked in the Oval and, I know what this is. They're going to hotbox the speaker on Ukraine funding. That's what it was. This is probably third week of January. We sit down, we're in the midst of it, and the whole conversation, and I'm going, we don't need to have this conversation. The president reaches over just like this. We're sitting right next to the fireplace in the Oval, and he grabs my arm and he says, the speaker and I just need a couple minutes together. Would y'all just leave us alone? And I looked up on the faces of some of the staff standing around the wall, and they're like, oh, no, he did it. So he called it. He's the commander-in-chief. So everybody leaves, and he and I are standing awkwardly in the middle of the Oval Office, right over the rug by that coffee table. And I said, Mr. President, thanks for the moments. This is very important. I got some big national security things I need to talk to you about that I've heard, and I think you know, and what do we do? But first, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble. Who is running the country? I don't know who put the paper in front of him.
I often wonder, why do we wait so long to let information like this get out? Because there were so many instances where there was Congress on the Republican side that did push for the 25th Amendment. Now, granted, it would have invoked the Kamala Harris, so I guess there might have been a reason for everything. But just in general, though, I mean, you had CNN and NBC and all these people toting the line, making sure that Biden's secret didn't get out about his mental acuity and or his inability to run the country, and the whole country being run by possible handlers. I don't know if you remember this or not, but there was an interview that Tucker Carlson had done with Vladimir Putin. who is the I guess the president or whatever you'll call it of Russia, and he talks about this. Putin does, says that he, there was, to try to deal with the Biden regime, you never know who was the actual leader, and so he just preferred not to speak to him at all because it was completely pointless, because you were just pretty much barking up a tree with no branches. I just made that up. I think, is that a thing? Anyhow, wow, that's epic. Now we're entering the phase of, now let's see what Mike Johnson's going to do for real, being the fact that we have a Republican president and a slim majority in the House and in the Senate. Is he still going to rhinoceros us to death? Are we going to actually see some real action? Are we going to see some effort put forth, the single bills, like where, it's like we want this and we want this? And can Trump unban what Biden just banned so far as our offshore drilling? I know he said he would be able to, but if you look into how this all goes down, it's a lot more difficult than what's laid out. And so I'll do a video on that sometime tomorrow. We're still on the upstroke of the not feeling well, but we're getting a little bit better, guys. I'm getting up, moving around. So anyhow, thank you for watching. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how this is going to go. Tomorrow I will be on Matt's channel. We're going to be doing a little bit of the, there's a Trump rally that's going to be going on. And we're just going to see what happens. So thank you very much.